Welcome. B minor here.
The X Factor right next to him, as always.
Right next, or if you're looking at this, it'd just be one at a time. But we are thrilled to have one of the all-time greats. And I know that's big shoes to live up to, but Joey Lane, I am really excited to hear some of your story. I appreciate you joining us, man. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of how you got to Ohio State and your journey from walk-on to captain and scholarship athlete. So we appreciate you joining us, man.
Yeah, this has been years in the making, so I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to it. I love to talk, so I'm always down to share my story. There's no doubt about that.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're excited to hear more about it. So, I mean, there's a couple great articles that I can find, and there's some pictures of you. But give us a little bit of kind of your high school story, and then how you got to Ohio State.
Yeah, so I had an interesting high school experience in Illinois. I'm from Illinois. You play freshman, sophomore, and then varsity. And within the varsity team, there's a JV team as well. So of the 15 guys on the varsity team, 7 play in the games on Friday nights, and then 8 play Saturday morning in the JV games, typically. And some flip-flop between the two. So that all will be relevant as I go through my story. So freshman year, I played freshman A, didn't play sophomore. The best freshman played sophomore. I was on the freshman team. We were really good, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Freshman basketball, like not huge in the grand scheme of things, right? Sophomore year, again, there were a couple sophomores that were moved up to varsity. I was not one of them, which is the biggest blessing in disguise for me in my career, because I ended up being, quote unquote, the guy on the sophomore team, and we were really good again. And we even beat the varsity team sometimes, and they just weren't very good. But so that was why they didn't want me on the varsity team. At least that's what I'll just say. Then my junior year, I made the varsity team, but I didn't play. I had something like 15 total points the entire year or something. The first half of the year did not play at all. Didn't get in games unless they were blowouts. And then the holiday tournament came. One of our guards got injured. I ended up stepping into a 6th-man role, had some good games there, but still didn't play any more than half the game. Eventually worked my way up to playing a good amount towards the end of the year, gained the coach's trust. They realized, hey, we should have been playing you a lot more, that whole deal. But obviously, hindsight's 20/20. Fast forward to then my senior year, very under the radar. Nobody knew who I was. But I worked my butt off to make it a point that people were going to know who I was that year. And a lot of the guys on my team were not unproven guys, because a lot of the guys my age at least were not playing, because the seniors, when we were juniors, were playing a ton. So long story short, we ended up being super successful on a team level. I had a great year as well on a personal level. We ended up winning the conference. We competed for a regional championship, which in Illinois is a big deal. Came up 1 point short. I think we ended up losing that game. I ended up being all conference, all area, all state, all that good stuff, which in fast forward 25 years, I'll be telling my kids, my grandkids, whatever, that I was the player of the year or something. So that's always good. But in between my junior and senior seasons is when I got a chance to be in front of Ohio State, which obviously is how I got to Ohio State. Never in a million years did I think I was going to be playing Division I basketball. I didn't really want to. I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to play and be a factor and have a great career and get a great education, all that great stuff. But my coach knew I was a huge Ohio State fan. We went to the Ohio State team camp going into my senior year. We went 8-0 there. We won the camp or whatever. I played really, really well. The coaches were recruiting guys that we played against, guys like Khalil Iverson, who went to Wisconsin. There are a bunch of other guys as well. And we beat all those teams. So basically one of the coaches was like, hey, Joey, we're not going to offer you a scholarship. I'm like, obviously, I'm not an idiot. But we do want to stay in touch, because he said, I see a lot of myself in you. I want to help you get to the right school and make connections because I've seen you play. I know you got it. So let me help you get to the right fit. And stayed in touch with him, and eventually, I said, Ohio State's been my dream. I grew up a huge Ohio State fan. My mom's from Ohio. She went to Ohio State. I said, if it's possible, like I would love to look at walking on. If you guys need a walk on, I'm happy to like do whatever you guys need. And he said, we can absolutely, we can look into that and just keep sending me film during the year. And obviously I had a really good senior year. So eventually come April, after the season that ended, after when I was trying to decide where I wanted to go, they finally were like, hey, you got it. We want you if you want us. And I was like, absolutely, I'm in. So really, really crazy experience considering all my teammates were 1,000-point scorers at least, right? I scored like 480 points in my high school career or something crazy, but like I had one really, really good year. So that's all it takes, I guess.
Dude,
That's
you
a
want to
great
talk
story.
about a story of just coming up. Like you said, I mean, you were getting kind of overlooked for the majority of your high school career. And then all of a sudden, boom, like you didn't care. Like you could have been like, all right, this sucks. Like I'm getting overlooked. Forget about this, man. I'm just going to go do something else. Nah. And like this is what me and B Minor talk about all the time. Like persevering through this stuff really does work. Like we're not just talking you know what, like we're dead serious, you know what I mean? And you are a living example of that. And then you ended up at Ohio State, like, and not, you didn't just end up at Ohio State. Like, this is what I want the viewers to know. Like, this guy is a legendary walk-on. Like, there's like a walk-on Mount Rushmore. And I think this is something we talked about in the earlier stages with Rem. Like, if there's a walk-on Mount Rushmore, like Joey Lane is on the walk-on Mount Rushmore. Like, and it's unanimous. Like you can ask probably any coach in the country. You can ask any kind of you can ask Jeff Goodman, and he would definitely put Joey Lane. He would definitely put Joey Lane in the walk-on Mount Rushmore. So like that is extremely admirable, dude. And I'm so happy that I got to connect with you through college basketball. And obviously that never would have happened if you didn't persevere and get to Ohio State, which is like close to impossible. Like how many people play for Ohio State? You
and
did.
not only get there, you excelled and you did your role well enough that you're rewarded by something that I wasn't. I never was a scholarship player. I was a walk-on that never got to see that. But you were a scholarship player your last 3 years, right, Joey?
Yeah. It is crazy. I think you alluded to it. A huge part of my success and my whole demeanor in life has always been to be a superstar in your role. There's always, whether you want to talk X's and O's of basketball or in life, someone who knows their role is a huge asset to anything. And then, you find your role and you try and be the best at that as you can possibly be, and you'll be rewarded in more cases than not. And there was a whole bunch of things that came together at once that created this opportunity for me to be on scholarship, which I'm super fortunate about. But if it wasn't for working really, really hard and being a great person, there's no doubt that even would be in the realm of possibility. So super fortunate, obviously, but it wasn't, there's some aspect of luck, but I mean, I'd be crazy if I didn't think like I earned it. So, it's a huge testament to a lot of people in my life, but obviously, without the demeanor that I kind of had from, looking at myself as the underdog in high school, there's no doubt that helped me a ton heading into college and during college.
Well, let me say this one. I know there's a lot of kids watching, high school boys that are maybe trying to figure out how to play in college. Here's what a quote was by a coach of yours about you, Joey. It says he's an everyday guy, which I love. You got to be an everyday guy. You got to show up every day. He's an everyday guy, win or lose. His positivity is infectious, and whether it was encouraging guys in practice or cheering guys on from the bench, Joey has a unique gift which has unquestionably led our team. And you're not your stereotypical Division I basketball player. I don't think any of the three of us here passed the airport eye test. When somebody's walking through the airport, they're like, what sport do those guys play, right? Like
Right.
Soccer? Is that the golf team, or who are these guys?
The lacrosse bros. We're the lax guys.
Look like it. Not your stereotypical players at the Division I level. But I think what you said there is being a star in your role. And we talk about that a lot. I know that's something the X Factor and I always preach is you got to know your role, accept your role, and then excel at your role. And that will cause your role to grow.
No doubt. No doubt. I think that, it rarely in life, again, whether it's sports or in the real world or in school, you're not going to think you're in the position you want to be in, right? Like you always think you could be playing more, or you could have that job, or you could do better on a test, whatever it might be. But you got to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, you're always on a team, right? You really are. I mean, now I'm in the workforce and like I'm on a team. So you got to look at it the same way I did sports. And it's like, what do I bring to the table? How can I help this team? And that's what you got to do. And then success will follow that. So you're exactly right. You can either look at it two different ways. It's either a selfish aspect or an unselfish aspect. And obviously the unselfish aspect is going to help you more in the long run. There's always an aspect of selfishness that you need to have in order to, get to where you want to be. But in order to get there, you got to make sacrifices. And that's where the unselfishness comes in.
I think that's so important. And like like people don't understand that like you have to like take care of yourself and what you need to do so that you can contribute to the greater good of the group. Like if you're not taking care of your stuff, it's impossible for you to contribute to everybody else in a positive way. And that kind of transitions into a question I want to ask you, because I ask literally whenever I come in contact with another walk-on, I have to ask them about their experience as a walk-on, because I feel like everybody's experience as a walk-on is like, there's a lot of similarities, but everybody also has like so many different, like I have a lot of walk-on friends from like my guy Ramon from Xavier, like just a billion of them. And everybody's like, it's the same common denominator, but like there's small, subtle differences. So like, can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to be a walk-on at The Ohio State University?
Yeah, not easy. I think the greatest thing that ever happened to me was the first day I ever played pickup. I was really, really good. I played really, really well. The guys wanted me on their team. Like they didn't know who I was. And I played really well. And so I gained their respect right away. So that was huge for me. They already know that I'm a walk-on. Like, I'm going to do well in school. I'm going to be there on time. I'm going to work my butt off. But like there's got to be some component of earning their respect as a good basketball player. That goes a long way. So I was fortunate enough to play really well that first day. If I didn't play well, I probably wouldn't have gotten to play very much pickup the rest of that preseason, So I think that was a huge part of proving that you belong. That's like a huge part. That mentality is obviously massive, but if you can't prove it, then you can do whatever you want, but they're not going to believe it, So I just think that the common themes for a walk-on are you work really, really hard with not a lot of praise for it, right? Like the coaches aren't going to go out of their way to tell you you're doing a great job because it's expected. The fans don't know that you work your butt off. They just think that you just coast and get a front row seat for every game. So that goes hand in hand with a lot of fans not thinking that you're a good basketball player. I mean, that's a lie. You're not there by accident. I think that obviously it's a thankless job, like I kind of mentioned. Like I kind of talked about it already. If you do well in school, no one's going to pat you on the back. If you do well in practice or you make your conditioning times or whatever it is, no one's going to pat you on the back. No one's celebrating anything for you. There's definitely an unspoken bond between walk-ons where we know what we're going through in those senses. I mean, I think that one unique thing that I had, maybe that other walk-ons didn't have, was number one, being put on scholarship, but also getting the opportunity to play in some meaningful minutes, which I think was special to me because I went there as obviously, Pant, you're sacrificing your college career to go there. You could go somewhere else and get minutes, like maybe that's at the Division I level, below Division I level or the Division III level, but you're sacrificing a lot. So that goes a long way for the coaches. That goes a long way for other walk-ons because they understand it, but then also your teammates. Some of the best teammates I ever had were the guys that were outspoken about knowing that, number one, I work my butt off for no reason, basically, and they respect the hell out of that. But then they also realize, he could be somewhere else, but he's helping us. For me, it was all about the fact that I loved the Ohio State University. I mean, I grew up a huge Ohio State fan. I wanted to leave it better than when I got there. So that's why a lot of people gravitated towards me, is because okay, whatever Joey's doing, it's benefiting the greater good of Ohio State and this team, not just himself. So I think that's a lot of what makes a really good walk-on is sacrificing for the greater good and working just as hard, if not harder, than the other guys who are in it for, a professional career afterwards, most likely. So, I think that answers your question. Obviously, I took it in a different route, but the overall theme is that walk-ons all have this unspoken bond, and it stems from you work your butt off for no reason, really. So,
and that's
I
so
also have
some people do think that it's just like, oh, you coast, or maybe you're not a good player, so that's why you're, but everybody at the D1 level is really good. So everybody at the D1 level was a high school all-star. So when some people say, oh, you're just a walk-on at the end of the bench, and they just kind of look past you, it's like, no, there's some guys that can play.
right.
Is Charlie Wilson our troll tonight?
I feel like
Rebecca, what do you think?
I feel like that's a familiar name though. Like, has that been somebody that's been here before?
I don't recognize it. Charlie, if you turn on your camera, we might be able to let you ask Joey a question. We've had the people that pretend like there's somebody else, and then they try to trick us.
They
But
pull up. Sometimes we have great questions, and then sometimes we have a troll.
is that the mask that he has to wear for? I don't think that one's quarantine appropriate.
That's a pretty nice mask right there. Wow, that's a nice one. Okay. Do we
We'll give Bennett. I know Bennett's got a good question. We're gonna unmute Bennett. Here we go. Bennett, you are now unmuted.
Joey, so since you're only around 6 feet tall, how is playing against people that were like way taller than you? And like, did you ever feel discouraged?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, I'm playing against NBA guys. Obviously, I have no business being there with them from a height standpoint, but obviously there's strategic advantages to being shorter. And the best thing for me was that the coaches let me foul all the time. Like, I was allowed to foul these dudes all the time because that's the only way I could stop them.
Mm-hmm.
My claim to fame is Keita Bates-Diop, who ended up being the Big Ten Player of the Year my junior year. I guarded him in practice the whole year before. So obviously that was all thanks to me. That was obviously, and he was 6'9", so that gives you an example of I could not stop him. I had to foul him. Sometimes I got lucky and just hoped that he missed shots. But in all seriousness, like, obviously I was much shorter and defense was not my specialty at all. I was pretty good on offense. I could definitely hang with the guys offensively. There's no doubt about that. But defense, like, that was my weakness. So, and it definitely had a little bit to do with my height. So, but yeah, I mean, you don't get discouraged. Like, actually, it's just they're supposed to score on you. You just it's good. Pat their ego a little bit, So.
Good question, though. That is interesting. That's something I remember my first game just getting beat. Shots you used to be able to get in high school are just getting sent when you get to the D1 college level, for sure.
Yep. No doubt.
And a bonus question as well, Joey. How many times has somebody said, this is another question I ask walk-ons, how many times, plus or minus, do you think somebody has said to you, I'll play you one-on-one for your spot?
Yeah, I definitely got a lot of, like, you're out and about on campus and people are like, oh, I dunk on you, bro. It's like, all right, like, that gets old. It could be guys or girls saying that because they think they're hilarious. Like, it's like, no, I've heard that 100 times today already. But definitely a lot of, like, I got the fans kind of liked me. So, like, they didn't want to take my spot. They wanted to see me, but the casual fan would absolutely hit me with, hey man, like, I could beat you one-on-one up to 7. Like, let's play for a pair of shoes. It's like, no, bro. It's yes, 100 billion times I got asked that question. Let's play one-on-one. Like, no doubt.
And you know what? I was talking to a manager actually about this today because he was joking around about that question. Like, oh, I'm going to play you one-on-one for your spot. And I thought about it. And I was like, so many people have asked me. And I said this to him. So many people have asked me, I'll play you one-on-one for your spot. What do I get if I win? Is this just a lose-lose?
Yeah, right? You got nothing to gain playing those guys. I mean,
why would I play you?
even like I would go to my freshman sophomore year. I used to go to our rec center all the time to play, and I wasn't super recognizable then. I did like get the occasional time where I would play guys and I would play well, like in 5-on-5, and they'd be like, "Dude, you should try out for the team." I'd be like, "That's a pretty good idea. Maybe I should do that." But I never really played one-on-one at the rec center or anything. I think if I showed up in my Ohio State gear and like made it known I was on the team, then maybe people would. But like I always tried to go. Tried to be on the down low when I was there, so I didn't get challenged.
Let's give him a shot. We got to see, but you will be booted as soon as we hear the screaming or whatever you're about to do. So you got a shot. You got one shot, one opportunity. Are you going to capture it or let it slip? Nope.
Let's go!
Couldn't make it out.
Let's go, big boy.
Couldn't make it out. So I guess we had to give him a shot, but you couldn't handle it. And now I think that makes Rebecca right. And now we can all do the Dame Lillard and say bye-bye. Bye-bye, little guy. Makes it kind of exciting. At least we knew it was coming though, right? Rebecca had that one smelt out from a long way away. What has the working world been like? Talk to us a little bit about the transition away from basketball. Are you going to be a GA here? How long till you're a GA? Or is this something you're going to be doing for a while, do you think?
I am happy to be out of hoops. You know, I get my fix in other ways. I host my own little podcast, so I get my fix in other ways. I'm definitely still close with my coaches and the teammates. I'm around the guys. I go to games. Like, I get my fix. I am very at peace with not being in the basketball world anymore. But obviously, the real world doesn't even compare to college. I mean, like, everyone will tell you that. I do love what I'm doing right now. Not currently because of COVID. It makes it a little bit not as fun. I mean, I'm not going to the office anymore. There's not as much social interaction with people, you know, so maybe it would be nice to be coaching and be around guys. But yeah, the real world is not what I thought it would be when I was, 15 years old. I'm like, God, let me get out of school and do something and just not have to wake up and put a backpack on and go to class. It's like now I would die to go back to that. So, but no.
Say that again for the kids that maybe aren't listening. Say that one again about the school thing and how you wish you were getting to go to school. Say that again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you guys better soak it all in, because it is. I was told this when I was your guys' age, and I didn't believe it, but it's true. I'm only 1 year out. And it's already very, very true. And I live in Columbus still, so I still get a taste of what it's like to be a Buckeye, but it's just not the same. Like, I would trade any day of the week to wake up and go to an 8 a.m. lecture instead of wake up and go to the old grind. So, but it's all good. I love what I'm doing, so that's nice at least. But
that does help. And we're telling Pont the same thing when he's like, "Man, I got to get up tomorrow and go rebound for the dudes." I'm like, there come a time when you wish you were able to go rebound for the guys instead of having to get on your suit and tie. Because Pont's going to be a suit and tie guy for a while. Then he's going to be able to do and wear whatever he wants because he's going to have enough money and that he can wear whatever he wants. But to a certain point, you got to kind of dress the part.
Yep.
Yeah. I was definitely going to say, because B-Minor have been talking about this, like the 6:30 a.m.s turning into 5:30 a.m.s to like literally go in there and rebound. And like you said, you just sacrifice so much. Like, does it bother me? No. Like honestly, you know what I mean? Because like first and foremost, like I said, hey, I want to play here. And I understood what that meant. Like, I was fully transparent. Like, you're a walk-on, like obviously you're not the number one priority. You're going to be rebounding. You're going to have your walk-on duties, and that's perfect. I wouldn't trade him for the world. Now, 5:30, a little early, right? But hey,
that's what you signed up for.
It's what I signed up for. I understood that I would get tasked with things like this, and hey, now I'm rising to the occasion, and this is going to be my last year to be able to do that and to have the privilege to do that. So hey, I'll take it, right? I'll go in there and I'll see how many rebounds I can get in an hour.
Give us a quote or something that's helped you when you're either down or when times are tough, or just give us one of your favorite quotes, Joey.
I have a couple. For in terms of like staying the course and that type of theme, Coach Holtman, when he came in, he had this quote everywhere, and we definitely embraced it in my time at Ohio State and still now. And it was "Do today well." So, "Do today well" was on our lockers, it was in our gym, it was everywhere. And obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's all about focusing on the present and getting the most out of it. So, he would always talk about how we just got to put great practices together. It's not about having a great week. It's about having 5 great days strung day by day by day and doing today well. So it was all about, that was the message going into practice. It's like, hey, I know we play a huge game at Michigan tomorrow, but let's focus on making sure we know the game plan today in practice. We know our sets, we know their sets, and we're locked in for today. Let's do today well as best as we can do it. And that was it's still something I, follow to this day. I mean, I still try and get the most out of every single day, because that's, I can't think about how I'm going to do well on Friday. I got Thursday coming up. So do today well is a huge, everyday mantra for me. The other kind of quote that I think sums up my career pretty well is that, and something that I always abide by, is luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So, that was something that me and my dad always talked about, especially in high school, how in order to, when this opportunity comes up to play more, whether it's my junior year, whether it's going into my senior year, you better be prepared for it. And some people might say, it's lucky when a guy like Jeremy Lin, right? Like, people probably think it was all luck when he had Lynn Sandy going on. It's like, no, that dude worked his butt off to get there. He was prepared for his moment, So, preparation meets opportunity. That's when you get the luck. But I think of more of it as success, right? So, success is the intersection between preparation and opportunity. So, that's something that I definitely think is true in all senses. And whether it was my high school career, getting a chance to be a really great player in high school, or my college career, getting a chance to be put on scholarship or even play some my junior and senior year. I think it was all about being prepared and waiting for that opportunity and making sure you're as prepared as you can be. So when that opportunity comes, you're ready to seize the moment.
Love that. I think we talked a little bit about last week, but Justin Herbert, the quarterback for the Chargers, finds out 2 minutes before the game's supposed to start that he's the starter, and he was ready. Success is when preparation meets opportunity, and luck favors those that have prepared, right? So people say, oh, he's just so lucky. Oh, you're lucky. You get to wear, the Ohio State uniform. You're lucky. And it's like, no, well, all those years of working turned you into an overnight, success story.
Exactly.
People don't realize that. Success is when preparation meets the opportunity. So you have to be prepared. You can't wait until, I have the opportunity. Now let me go get ready.
Yep. Can't happen.
You have to be prepared.
Yep.
Love that. Good stuff, man. Pont, you got one for us tonight? What do you got? Share some wisdom.
I absolutely have some fire for you guys, some wisdom for you guys. I have it. And it's 2 simple but very meaningful words. And I chose this one because Joey was coming on the show today. Be you. Be you. That's it. What do I mean by that? Think about all the times, and we alluded to this a little bit earlier. People are going to tell you stuff about you that you didn't even know, and that is also not true. People are going to tell you as a walk-on that you are not doing anything and that you're just getting whatever. You're sitting courtside at the games and you're traveling around and eating food and wearing the gear and all this, and they don't even consider all the work that goes into it. They don't consider everything that you're doing, the early mornings, the late nights, this and that, anything. They don't care about it. They don't want to care about it. They don't want to think about it. None of that, right? Amidst all that, people are going to tell you a lot of things trying to be hurtful. And at the end of the day, you just got to sweep it under the rug, because who cares? Like, they don't know you. You know you. And at the end of the day, you know all the preparation that you put into this moment, the next moment, the moment after that, and your whole life as a whole. So be you no matter what, and it's going to pay you dividends in the long run.
I think what I heard you say is when haters come at you, swipe left.
You have to swipe left. Always swipe left. Well, not always. But when haters come, swipe left.
when haters come, swipe left. I always get confused about which way you're supposed to swipe because I was never around, or I was never single during the swipe that way. That's the bad way.
Swipe it left.
Swipe it left. Whenever haters come at you, this is a quote that I love. It's from a guy, former walk-on, Joey Lane. I was never raised to be selfish. My parents are two of the most selfless people on the planet. So thinking about myself and pouting about my situation was never an option. I loved that. When I saw that quote, Joey, I was like, man, first off, I know you got great parents, just having seen what you've done. And then that humility to thank your parents. And that's something that I'm talking to the kids that are watching. Just being appreciative of what your parents have sacrificed. Because sometimes as a kid, you start to think, well, how come I don't have this? Or why don't I have the nicest? Or why don't I have the newest? Or how come this isn't the fastest or the biggest? When you realize what your parents have sacrificed, it's incredible, that sense of humbleness and just gratitude that you need to show your parents. If you're watching this, then I know you have good parents. And I think that's something that sometimes we take for granted, is that, oh, well, my parents have to send, there's nothing that says your parents have to send you to basketball camp. There's nothing that says they have to send you to anywhere, really. So everything you get should not be taken for granted. And I just love that you said, thinking about myself and pouting was not an option. Not an option. It's not like, oh, no, it's not an option. You have to do your best, show up, be an everyday guy. And that's what your coach described you as, was an everyday guy. No matter what's going on, you can be having a bad day, but you show up. You can be having a great day, you show up. It doesn't matter, good day, bad day, you show up because you want to be known as an everyday guy. You don't want to be known as somebody that, oh, they show up just when things are going really well, or, oh, they're not. That's something, that phrase, everyday guy, if you're watching right now, Rebecca, maybe an everyday gal, but show up, do your best every single day. And that's something that will make you an everyday guy, no matter how you feel. So that's the quote that I love too, is no matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and never give up, no matter how you feel. So I think that's something that quote, when I saw that, give us your mom and dad's name and give them like a little bit of what you've taken from them. And then hopefully we can get them to watch this later. So
Yeah, no, they'll definitely watch it. Nancy and Scott Lane. I think the biggest thing my mom gave me is the fandom of Ohio State. I mean, that went a long way in getting me to where I am today. But in all seriousness, my dad, he works really, really hard. He's a lawyer. He has his own firm, and he gets up, and I don't see him, and he comes back after, right before dinner and stuff, and works long days to, the classic, to provide for the family and all that good stuff. But it really is true that he instilled this work ethic in me, that combined with the unselfishness that both of them had all the time, just created for me and my sister such great role models to model ourselves after in life, in sports, and everything. My dad was a great athlete growing up, and he knew what I needed to do to be successful, and it was up to me if I wanted to do it. But he presented me with the opportunity to do a lot of those things, whether it was rebounding for me, driving me places, or signing me up for things. He always had my best interest in mind, and my mom is the same way. She worked just as hard as my dad did in a million different areas, whether it was her job or with me and my sister. I just can't. Obviously, they were the perfect role models, and the huge part of it was work ethic and unselfishness. And two of the most unselfish people, like I said in that quote. I mean, still to this day, they never do anything for themselves. So it's pretty cool, and I'm obviously super blessed and lucky to have them. As like I said, they've been the ultimate role models for me, without a doubt.
Yeah, I love that. And that's huge because, like, for me, I don't see me being me without my parents either. Like, my dad played the biggest role out of anybody ever in life for me. He was constantly taking me to basketball practice, taking me here and there. And, like, he sacrificed so much to be able, he's a business owner as well, so he has like just the freedom to have that time. And he decided with all that time to be with me from like 4:30 in the morning until I got out of school. Like every single second that I wasn't in school, he was there. And I appreciate the hell out of that, because like how many people are going to do that? You know what I mean? So having that foundation and being able to build on it is like what makes us us. You know what I mean? It's what makes people like us us. Because it's extremely hard to, it's extremely easy to like fold in situations where you're not like the number one option. You know what I mean? And you're not like, obviously nobody's running plays for us at this level. But like at the end of the day, like we have the personalities and mentalities of like, hey man, who cares? You know what I mean? Look at me. I'm having a great time. Like I'm learning so much and all this experience. Like, what am I going to do? Complain? I have to be I have to be crazy.
And if you did complain, no one would listen.
No.
Because a lot of people are happy that you have problems. And that's something that the world is full of jealous people. And there's people that try to bring others down. And that's something I've noticed is there's people, misery loves company, or some of those sayings that you hear about, the haters, right? The people that somebody else is happy and successful. Well, then I'm going to try to bring them down because I'm not happy. And so haters, they're going to hate. And I think you just got to let haters hate and do you. I think I've heard Pont say that a few times, do you. And if you do you and you do it to the best of your ability, you may never get to play college basketball. You may never play Division I, II, or III, but if you give it everything you have every day, you can't be disappointed with that. When you have regrets is when you cut corners, when you take a shortcut, when you don't put in everything you have. But if you put in everything you can every single day, let the chips fall where they will, and you'll have to live with the results. But the kids that do cut corners and take shortcuts, but I heard that one a lot too, was, oh, I was better than you were when we were in 8th grade. I'm sure you've heard that one too, right, Joey? Oh, I was better than you were freshman year. And now you just must have kissed up to the coaches or done something.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just become best friends with the coach, and then you're good to go. So that's
whatever it takes, though. I mean, I was like you. I was running scout team. I was always making myself the other team's best player. I got to be JJ Redick before we played Duke.
It's pretty good.
To do some pretty big time stuff and played, but I was always the other team's best player, right?
Yeah, I've had some pretty good guys as well. Some of the best. I was Carson Edwards. That was a really fun one. Denzel Valentine. Obviously, he was the Wooden Award winner, so I basically won the Wooden Award.
Pretty much, and if you do the transitive property, right. I think that's pretty much how it works. Is
exactly.
I scored on Pooh Jeter one time, scored on Michael Jordan. Therefore,
you are the greatest basketball player of all time.
You are better than Michael Jordan. I think we deduced that quickly right there.
It's easy.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you joining. Becca, Bennett, Damian, Tegan, you guys got any questions you want to shoot off here? We will unmute. I know everybody else in here, so I think we were able to escort the trolls out. So if anybody's got a question, raise a hand or give me some thumbs up. We got somebody in the waiting room, but we're not going to let that person in. I'm not even going to read what the name is that's trying to get into the room. Well, we'll talk about who's trying to get in here in a little bit after we edit the recording. But
are you gonna let him in after the recording?
There's a smiley face after it says guy, horse, guy.
No way.
With a smiley face.
No way.
That bull just with a smiley face, like, hey, you guys, come on, let me back in. Sorry, you're not getting back in tonight. Not going to ruin this one again. But
we'll see you, man.
Well, if there's no questions, Joey, we have this little thing that we do when we end the show. And then we can chop it up a little bit more. But what we say is if you're going to walk on.
I love that. I gotta say I agree.
That's one thing. You had the opportunity to go smaller schools and maybe play more, but there is something special about going to your dream school. And then you've been, I think in the article it said you're living the dream at every level, just to be able to go there and then to be able to earn a basketball scholarship and then be able to play and start on senior night. That's incredible, man. That's obviously a testament to your hard work, but I appreciate you taking the time tonight. That shows your humility, but I think it also shows, like, we realize we haven't made it yet, man. We're not there yet.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. All things combined. No doubt about it.
So we got a question. Tegan's internet's not working great, but he says, was there ever a time you wanted to give up because you felt you weren't gaining anything because you were a walk-on?
Yes and no. I don't think give up on basketball being a walk-on, not like that, but there were definitely times my freshman, sophomore year maybe where obviously it was really hard, but I also wasn't having any fun. Not necessarily because of the hard work I was putting in. Like, I knew what I signed up for, but I just didn't have great teammates. And we weren't super successful as a team. And obviously that takes a toll on you. And I signed, I wanted to go to Ohio State to be a part of something really special. And there was nothing special really about it. And that's obviously a blunt way to put it, but it was true. And my coaches would say the same thing. And those years stunk. But I persevered because I saw the light at the end of the tunnel that would make it all worth it at the end. And I tried to take little nuggets whatever way I could, and have fun and realize like how special the opportunity was. I didn't want to just throw all my hard work away, because I knew it was worth it in the end. And I'm glad I did that. And it was nobody's fault that it wasn't a great experience for me in the beginning. Just sometimes that happens. We've all been on teams like that. But it definitely made the hard work not worth it, frankly. Like, yeah, it's awesome to travel on these private jets and stay in these awesome hotels and get all this gear. But at the end of the day, like, your teammates are the greatest part about any sport. And I love those guys, but we didn't mesh very well. We didn't have the same agenda. We didn't have the same ideas of success. And that was the most frustrating thing. And that was the only time that I was like, you know what? I sacrificed so much. I know I'm not supposed to get anything in return, but I'm supposed to get a little bit in return, and I'm not getting it. That was the only time where I had to, double check myself on why I did this. And I knew that, when you look inside yourself and you think about why you do what you do, it's like, okay, you come up with the right answer, and I stuck it out. So, but that's a great question, because I think a lot of people would say, like, there were points where they were down in the dumps and they realized, like, this is so hard for no reason. Oh, I brought this upon myself. Like, why did I do that? And it is so worth it. The gratitude from my teammates and my coaches on after I finished was insane. I mean, like, it made it all worth it, no doubt.
I think that the saying hindsight's 2020 might change, because now 2020 used to be like a really good thing, like 2020 vision. Now I think people think of 2020 and they think of just.
Yeah, thumbs down for sure.
Thumbs down, not good. But the fact that you enjoyed the ride, and I think there's a lot of kids now that have like shoes and they ride on them stuff. And this is no joke. We had a kid this last year that had trust the process on his shoes. Quit by Christmas. So if you think about it, right? Like, that's an interesting slogan. Like, when the going gets tough, give up. When you face adversity, quit. There's some of those. It's like, you put trust the process on your shoes, and then first time that you're supposed to be trusting the process, you quit. When the going gets hard, you give up. And that's something that those kids are going to have that regret later on in life, where if it's tough, college basketball is going to be tough. Whether you're a walk-on or a scholarship player or at a D3, if you don't love basketball, you're not going to make it, because it's tough. It's hard. You're doing school, you're trying to stay social, all that. So, yeah, Rebecca says, I think it's important for high school athletes to know all the stuff you deal with as a high school athlete is entirely different than being on a college level. I'd agree with that. What Rebecca, you want to expand on that at all? You are now unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
I can expand by speaking. Typing is going to be a train wreck. But no, like you said and Joey said and Pont said at some point throughout your guys' shows that, and I kind of see some of the same questions coming up as far as like, you know, Tegan's question on, was there ever a point where you just feel like this isn't worth it? And I can say my high school experience, I was 3-sport scholar athlete and captain everything. So if you are an elite level high school athlete, your experience is good, which, you know, you're getting recruited by colleges and you're dealing with coaches and there's some school politics, but I feel like there's a lot of haters in the high school realm that you've got peer pressure and people really don't want to see you making it. And from an organizational level, when you get to the college level of being a college level athlete, like Joey was saying, your teammates, even though you're a walk-on, it's not like, oh, you're, you know, comparable to high school seniors and freshmen. It's not that mentality where you're just a walk-on. I know that if you're one of the top performing athletes, you are very appreciated being one of the lower level, like you didn't get scholarshiped. But that's one of the things from me transitioning high school to college. I expected everything to be very similar to what I experienced in high school, and it was entirely different. That you have to cheerlead yourself. You don't have everybody falling at your feet if you're getting good grades or you're making it early to practice or you're running and finishing first in sprints. Nobody cares. That's expected. It's not something that you get a cookie for. But your cookies at the end of the experience when you go through it and you develop those relationships, and it really is more supportive, I would say, than internal haters. You'll have external haters, and everyone knows, especially college and pro levels, there's a lot of outside noise that goes on around that. So I feel like, at least I'm sure you guys can confirm, but every organization that I've ever dealt with, you become tighter almost, and it's one against all the haters instead of people against you within the organization.
I think one thing, upperclassmen embracing the walk-on is something like for you guys, Tegan, to think about is not hazing. Like hazing is such a, I don't understand it. It's like, why would you not try to encourage and pick up and lift up those freshmen rather than belittle them or make them do embarrassing, stupid stuff? It's like, you want to be respected, you want to be liked, you want people to like you. Why would you want to pick on kids, you know? And so I think that's something is at the college level, lots of times if you make the team, even as a walk-on, you're still doing what you don't want to, others don't want to do. But most freshmen are in that same situation, I would say. Well, that's awesome. Let's go ahead and give it one more time. We'll all try it. If you're going to walk on. Let's go. That's a wrap. Cut, paste, print, send it to the internet.